So I wanted to commend you. I read this a while back for going back to school. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Not only for you doing it, but putting it out there. Are you still, I think it was a Chris Van Vliet interview, maybe?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Are you still taking classes? Like, how's that going?
You know, it, I did that during the pandemic, and I did, like I said, I didn't really do it for any specific reason in terms of a job or anything like that. But like, it came down to why not want to know history? Like, it just seems like stupid and ignorant, and to not want to know the past. So you just start there, and then I just knew that my literature and my writing and all that could have be better. I didn't even realize how much better it could be until I actually took literature. But so like it had applicable skills, and then the math was more of a personal thing. It's like, can I get my mind to be able to focus enough on something like that to actually pass it? Because I had doubts, because I hadn't been done anything like that in 20 years. So, that was just kind of like a personal thing for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it felt good. It felt good, man. It felt good. Like, I just felt like you need to better yourself in other ways than just physically. That's what it came down to.
Yeah. No, I just asked because I have like sort of that voice every once in a while. Like I have my degree, but I'm
Yep.
I'm not using it for like for this job. Like I went for graphic design, but this is my job. So it's like, oh, maybe I can go back and like do something with communications, or maybe I can do something with journalism, or maybe I don't even use it for my career. Like kind of what you're saying. Like maybe I just have something I'm interested in that I never pursued. Like, just something that maybe isn't for credit, but it's for just personal growth. So
Exactly. Yeah, like personal growth, man. I mean, like, I think when it's for that specific reason, it's better than any other. Because I mean, again, if you're doing it for a job, you're going to obtain the information or whatever. But I mean, you're doing it because you have to, essentially. And so, I don't know, man. Yeah, like it's definitely, I think the most important thing is like what you're talking about is, you know, even if you're educated to do something, it's like if you're not happy doing it or not passionate about it, then fuck it. You know what I mean? Because I mean, if you're passionate about something, then it's fun at least. Even if you didn't make the money you want, and you're passionate about something, at least you're enjoying yourself. You know
yeah,
what I mean? And hopefully you can, make ends meet and all that kind of stuff. So, anyways, that's kind of just my whole thing with it. I just can't imagine not doing something that I'm or doing something that I'm not passionate about. Like, you would just feel mindless.
here's a good example of it. I took Spanish in elementary and high school, and I always, you kind of said like you're learning it for a specific reason or whatever, but I always learned it for a test. And then I realized like once I got out of school, I can't speak any Spanish. So like I think that's one thing I would do is maybe go back as a refresher and actually try to make it like conversational, because you might run into somebody that you want to talk to, or it might have some other benefits. But I think that would be one of those
When
things.
you when you get older too, you value things differently. You know what I mean? Like and again, even when you're young, this stuff is kind of being forced upon you. You know what I mean? As opposed to in our late 20s and our 30s, oh, I want to take Spanish, and you're going to seek it out for your own whatever your personal use is. So, I just found that like it's just funny. It just makes sense that at 15 and 16 years old, I didn't care that much about how the 1800s or the civil rights and all that stuff. But then again, you get older and like you realize, oh man, all that shit just really kind of matters. That's what's led up to now. And you learn a lot of lessons from the past too, right? If you actually study it.
Mhm. So I wanted to talk a little bit about you teaming up with Tyrus. It's coming up at the Crockett Cup. You guys actually squared off at NWA 312. That was your champion title shot. But I didn't know this part. Like I knew that you guys have known each other for work together in WWE and obviously NWA for 12 plus years. You didn't team with each other until the most recent NWA tapings. You were in battle royals together, number one contenders matches, opposite teams, but this is a new thing for you. What's it like sort of getting a new opportunity like this with somebody that you have so much history with, like Tyrus?
Well, what's cool about Tyrus is the history goes back even farther. It goes back to before like literally when I was first, it goes back to like 2004, I believe, or 2005. And I remember it was like my first WrestleMania with WWE. And it was out here. And Tyrus and myself have a mutual friend out here. His name's Rico. And he had an alias that was Flex Furious, was his gimmick name. So he's a character, but he was kind of sorry. There's a lot of activity going on around me at the moment. But anyways, so we had a mutual friend in him. And so basically, and I knew of him out here, like he bounced at some of the same spots that I did. He went on to obviously bodyguard for Snoop and do much, much more. But and even with the WWE thing, it's kind of like we just kind of crossed paths with each other, but we were never really kind of on a roster together until like maybe the very end, I guess, maybe 2010. So yeah, we go back, man. I mean, again, he was out here in LA, and I saw him as I was in WWE, and we've never got a chance to team, let alone even really work much. I think we maybe did one tag match in NXT back when it was a whole different thing, the NXT. And then you fast forward to the NWA 312 pay-per-view, which I thought was a hell of a competitive matchup. I think it was probably Tyrus's best match since he's become the champion. And I think this is a great opportunity in front of us too. I mean, I'm not over not winning the NWA championship, and I'm still obsessed with the idea of winning it. But in the meantime, the Crockett Cup and having Tyrus watching my back sounds like a little good piece of history right there that we can obtain.
You obviously have a long history with Carlito too. Yep. If you had the choice, would you have maybe brought him in too? Like, is that something?
well, that's not even fair. I mean,
I'm asking you while Tyrus isn't here.
Well, I mean, that is my bro of all bros. That is my brother from a separate mother. So I think I'm going to lean Lito in any given situation, watching my back. But then again, how many times has that guy backstabbed me as well? You know what I mean? You can only trust him as far as you can throw him, which ain't very far. So, I don't know. That's actually a toss-up. You know what I mean? I would want to say Lito, but then again, you never know when I'm going to get an apple thrown in my face or a backstabber out of nowhere for whatever reason.
All right, fair enough. When Tyrus joins us, I'll ask him the same question, but flip it. But I think it's interesting because you have two guys that you have your own respective history with. Obviously, Carlito a little, and not to discount either one, but it seems like you have a closer bond with Carlito. I know recently you commented on seeing him come back at Backlash. It seems like you guys are pretty close, but then you just
Carly and me go back
20-year relationship too. So
yeah, we go back 20 years, and like Carly, I've been all over the world with Carly. So I mean, this is one of those things. I mean, there's not many people on his level in terms of someone that I've teamed with, I've wrestled against, I've been probably every continent with that outside of Antarctica, obviously, and so it's just really there's kind of no comp to that. You know what I mean? And he's that's my dude. But like I said, Tyrus and me, if there's anybody else who I go back with, Tyrus is definitely that guy.
Is there even is there a possibility that you could wrestle on Antarctica? Like, I know it's pretty rigid. I don't know.
I'm not sure about that. That's a good question. We might have to look into that.
I know.
Could you imagine an independent wrestling show in Antarctica?
I think it's going to have to be an indie show.
Yeah. I can only imagine all the different issues there's going to be with that.
I know not too long ago, Alaska was kind of picking up WrestlePro.
Oh yeah. I went down there like a couple of years ago, and then from what I've seen, they've run a couple times since.
Yeah, that was. Do you know how many states? Have you done all 50 states or not?
After so last month I worked in both Wyoming and Montana. Mm-hmm. So when you add Alaska to that list, I'm inclined to believe that I've probably worked in every state at this point. Because if there were any two or any three that weren't on that list, those are the three.
Okay.
You got to think about it. I mean, I've worked in Maine before. Yeah, I think I've worked in every state. Okay. I think so.
Yeah, that was kind of one of the reasons that it appealed to people initially, because it was like you have a guy like Mick Foley or Tommy Dreamer that said it's their 50th. They want to knock that off their list. And then as they, they keep going back, I think it's twice a year now. So it's kind of cool to see different wrestlers get these kind of bucket list items.
Like I thought Wyoming and Montana were cool as hell. You know what I mean? I really get fired up to kind of go to places I haven't been before. And like when you think about it too, like wrestling hadn't been in either one of those states in a long time. So really, we were trying to bring wrestling back to Montana and Wyoming, and both shows went really great too. So which is few and far between, obviously, sometimes on the indie scene when you have a new promotion or it's the first show. So
part of the Crockett Cup festivities, it's again Saturday, June 3rd and Sunday, June 4th. There's a fan fest going on. And I think this is actually one of the really cool parts about the weekend is not just about NWA current, not just about the tournament, but celebrating history. Brother Devon Dudley, but he's advertised as Brother Devon, Demolition Axe, Bobby Fulton's going to be there. The Garvins, Bushwhacker Luke. What does it mean to be cool part of that? Like, have some of those like tag team great names be around for that weekend. I know specifically some of those guys have been in NWA, but Demolition is remembered for WWF. They had that historic tag team title run for many years until it was broken. But what's it mean to you kind of just maybe to get a chance to pick their brains a little bit when it's coming up on this?
It's very cool. I mean, but I think like I've been on this side of it for so long since I've been outside of WWE that I've gotten to go to the Cauliflower Club. I've gotten to go to, I worked directly for Harley Race kind of right outside of when I got outside of WWE. Like I was working under him with BJ and held his titles. So, I don't want to say it's a typical weekend or anything like that. It's awesome. I always have the utmost appreciation for getting to be a part of stuff like the Crockett Cup and be around legends and veterans like you're talking about there. But, it's just one of those things where, in the moment, it's all about the moment, you know what I mean? But like when you bring it up now, it definitely, you can get sentimental about it and, it's pretty cool. But, like I said, I mean, at this point now I'm 20 years in. So, shoot, I'm a veteran now. You know what I mean? It's weird. I remember those feelings a lot more right when I got into, sorry about that.
Not a problem.
Right when I got outside, my first run on the indies, I come outside of WWE and I get to, encounter all these guys like you're talking about that I'd never met, that weren't in WWE. They were there well before I was. So it was like every time I went to an indie show and there was someone like that, I was so excited to, meet them and, just get to know them and tap their brains and everything you're talking about, So, and that hasn't gone away, but I'm just saying it's funny the way you brought it up. It kind of made me think about it.
All right. So is there somebody today that you would still mark out for?
No, not alive, I don't think. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I mean, I mark out, but it's like a different type of mark out. Like, like when I go to Calgary and I work for Bret's, it's not Stampede, it's Dungeon Wrestling. Mm-hmm. It's like, I mark out for the thought of like, I worked out Nick Aldis over there. And so like, for me, like I kind of more mark out for the idea of, I have to perform in front of Bret Hart. You know what I mean? And just knowing how much I look up to him. It's more like stuff like that. That's more the mark out stuff. Like, and I still mark out, even, I guess, even just to talk to Bret, but like, you get, like, you develop relationships with these guys and it's not like the type of marking out. Like I know the first time that I ever met like Sean or Bret, like I had snuck backstage at the Arrowhead Pond and I was so excited that like literally when I got down there, I was like almost in a full sprint to them. So to me, like that's marking out. You know what I mean? Like, but marking out now, once you're like, you get in the business long enough, it's different. It's like, I'm going to wrestle in front of Bret Hart. So I mark out for the idea of the pressure of trying to perform in a way where Bret Hart will approve of it. You know what I mean? And therefore gain some respect. if that makes sense. There he is.
Tyrus.
He looks angry too. He looks angry too after going down 0-3.
Listen, I don't discuss my playoffs till the game's over. I don't cry. Just like the Celtics, I don't have a hard time with fighting up. I know it's difficult for LA.
Richard,
at least it isn't
hold on.
roll. At least it isn't because roll. At least
he's
it isn't because
completely.
the biggest fear in the world would be if Jason Tatum and Brown ran out of gas in the fourth quarter and missed dunks and got their pockets by
I have no defense.
Players.
I have no.
We got our own problems. We're getting out coached right now because we got a rookie who has never been in a big moment in his life. We miss Udoka. I'll admit it. Huge mistake. We don't have a Ham. We don't have a guy who fights and tough and actually
you guys are a little soft too, I think, man. Jimmy Butler is just eating.
It all starts from the head coach.
How old is Tatum?
24, I think.
He's still not even a man yet, bro. Give him a couple of years.
It doesn't matter. It's a win and loss business. You and I know this better. Hell, Chris, you were what? How old were you when you debuted?
21.
21?
21.
Yeah. The pressure doesn't matter. Age ain't nothing but a number. So
yeah, but he needs to develop. So he needs to get angry. Like I didn't have, like even when I was 21.
But you can't teach dog. You can't teach if someone either has dog in him or not. Kobe Bryant had the dog in him. Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett had the dog. You either have it or you don't. You're either vicious or you don't. And that's one of the. Well, we used to, since we're just being real, that was one of the criticisms. Like Masters was always just happy to be there kind of a guy. You never saw the viciousness in him. And then, I thought in our match, I thought that viciousness came out. I thought, we saw it. I think, let's go back to you and Trevor. I think you and Trevor, that's when the dog came. I really was like, hey, Chris is intense. He's not fucking around. So you either have it. Some guys that you don't always see it, but I'm not sure Tatum.
I know how to channel it now. You know what I mean?
I think it's in a game.
You know what it is being able to channel that anger for the right moments. You know what I mean? Like that's the beauty. And like I feel like I'm able to do that in terms of at least my wrestling. Like if I'm angry with somebody, like I can channel it in a productive way in the match, into a fire up or whatever the hell. So I hear you on that. Yeah,
I'll just make up a story about somebody in my head and all of a sudden don't like them. So
exactly. That whatever works.
I've done that's my thing.
And then you take it personally.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna close the book on basketball with this, and then I'll ask a question to Tyrus. But I know it's happened in earlier rounds where an 8 beat a 1, but I don't think it's ever happened this deep into the playoffs. So Heat beating the Nuggets wouldn't be too bad. So
I'm sorry, there's not an answer for Jokic unless you're gonna give Kareem Abdul-Jabbar some frozen stem cells or dig up Wilt Chamberlain.
I think Denver's gonna win, but I just think kind of like watching the world burn type of answer. I think an 8 beating a 1 would just be fun.
It'd be great for basketball. It shows parity in the league, and I think that's what the NBA is most excited about. Is that this entire playoff series, there hasn't been one bad series except for the conference championships. But having parity, they want to be like the NFL. They want to be like Major League Baseball, where like you just can't call who's going to win it. I think that's good for everybody. NWA, same way, same thing. So it's good for the league.
And you can't say the regular season doesn't matter because
it does now.
It does because when you look at Denver, like you could say, oh, look at Miami's an 8 seed, but Denver was the 1 seed the whole year, and look what they're doing. So like, because I was just thinking, I'm like, well, does everything you're saying make the regular season not count? But no, I think with Denver winning, it still matters.
Timing's everything. It's just like hockey. Timing's everything. You want to have home ice. You want to have home court. The Greek Freak getting hurt was a big. Miami stole 3 games with him with a bad back. He got injured. So I mean, a little bit of luck and timing is everything, and guys coming together. You just don't know. That's what chemistry wins championships, and I guess that's going to be our biggest challenge at the Cup. We've only tagged 1 time, and so obviously we have to deal with that. But arguably the 2 most dominant men in the sport at NWA right now, we should be able to figure it out. Plus, the good news is, personally, we've known each other for decades. So I mean, it's not and other than this time, I think this was the first time we ever. I can't remember. I know there was some talk of us. I think we were maybe in a tag in WWE once. I think it was in NXT, I believe, but I can't. I've forgotten more than I remember now in wrestling. But other than that, that's the only two times.
Well, and then our strengths complement each other well too. You know what I mean? Like between you and myself, there's not too much parity as far as our skills and whatnot. So I think that we're going to be able to play off each other real well. And like you said, I mean, yeah, we don't have a lot of in-ring chemistry or matches together, but then again, we have known each other for a long time. And I know, and after working you at the 312 pay-per-view, it's not like I didn't study you like a hawk. So I kind of know what you like to do. Well, you know what I like to do.
And we did get our one tag match against, probably future tag team champs with Blunt Force Trauma. And I did enjoy you putting the Master Lock on air, and that popped me. We both have a sense of humor in that aspect. Yeah. But one of the issues we had in that match was Chris was basically fighting the two of them himself. And, we were able to make the tag. But there was one moment in the match when he could have tagged me, and he chose to try to, win it himself because he's been singles for so long. But we went back, looked at the tape, because we both do that. There goes the basketball stuff. We went back and looked at the tape, and we said, see, this is where we got to do this and this and that. And watching a lot of
we said, next time I'm in that situation, I got to make the tag. I got to know that I got this big man who happens to be the champion watching my back. I don't have to do it all myself. I get that.
Yeah. And a lot of Ole and Arn tapes. We're gonna take a body part and make them suffer, cut the ring off. Our goal is not to let another team tag at all. And then when the time is right, they're either getting goozled to sleep, or they're getting locked to sleep. Either way, or maybe we're working on a nice double team move. Who knows?
Remember, we are the Midnight Riders. We are the Midnight Riders.
Yes.
You guys just highlighted two of my favorite things that I want to see out of wrestling: nuance and parody. I think
there we go.
I want, no matter what happens with promos or characters, gimmicks, whenever the bell rings, I want that wrestler to be able to win a match. And the one that I always say highlights that the most is the Elimination Chamber that Santino was in.
Yeah,
I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. And I think that highlights, like, it doesn't matter what he did with the goofball stuff and the Cobra. He almost, like, he had people thinking he was going to win that match. And I want
a lot of people that don't know about Santino's background. He was a judo champion. Mm-hmm. And one of my closest friends and one of the toughest guys I've ever been around. His work ethic was phenomenal. And that I was at that pay-per-view, and I went out in the crowd to watch that. And that moment when Santino and Daniel Bryant were going at it, and Santino had him, I'm telling you, that building erupted. And I think the right thing would have been if Santino would have captured that, we would be talking about that entire Elimination Chamber completely different. I think it would go down. We'd be talking about it with the same type of, do you remember that match as you remember, like, when you talk about Masters Shawn Michaels, when you talk about, Taker and I'm going to say it, Mankind. I mean, it was just that kind of, oh my God, he might do it. And I mean, there was.
I'm so out of the loop right now. I'm going to have to watch this match. I have not seen this match.
There wasn't one person sitting down. Wasn't one person sitting down. I never smartened myself up. I watched, and I was standing. I believe it was me and a couple other buddies we snuck out into the crowd. I used to do that a lot. I'd find a place and put on and go sneak and hide somewhere in the nosebleeds and just enjoy the match. That's a big kid in me. I was done. I believe I had David Ortunga that night or something like that. But that's a true. I'll call you a historian, not a fan, because that's a historian. That match, for anyone who's never seen it, and if you don't want to watch the whole match, you just watch when the two of them come down and you listen to that crowd. That entire place would have erupted, and they did erupt. And I was cheering myself, not just because I love the guy, but I think it was a great moment for wrestling.
Yeah, it was it 2011 or 2012?
I think 12, but again, the more as I get up there, I'm starting. I have to be reminded of stuff. Recently, I just ran into a guy I played college football with, and he was talking about a game, and I was like, obviously I was there, but you know, but time flies when you're working. So, but yeah, I want to say 12. And for Daniel Bryan, it was a great night for him, you know, and so it was a changing of the guard, so to speak. It was two guys that probably nobody had put. If you would have looked at both guys when they first came in and said these guys are going to be wrestling for the most coveted championship at the time of the business, in the sport, people would probably laughed at you.
Mm-hmm. I got a couple questions left. Obviously, Tyrus, you're a very charismatic guy. You've demonstrated that here on Fox News, but and Billy's brought this up before. He said he likes the old school heat building idea that he can get with you as a heel on NWA programming. What's your sort of, you know, do you have like a balance? Because obviously it's not like a kayfabe thing, because people, you know, they see you on one show, they know you're positioned as the champion, but then they see you on this other show. And so I had talked to, you know, somebody recently, they were like, you know, I know he's the champion. They don't really keep up with current day wrestling, but they're like, man, he's got a great personality. Like, I'd like to see him more. Is there like, maybe not a push, but is there, you know, is there a balance you'd like to maybe see where you are eventually a fan favorite? Is there maybe being able to show that charisma as a bad guy in NWA? Like, is there any feelings on that?
Well, I've been doing that. Chris and I, we got a pretty crazy pop when we decided to put the team together. I always believe this, and I think where it depends where you are, right? You go to New York, you get booed. You go to California, you get cheered, and that's a beautiful thing. Whether you're a quote baby face or heel, I think is irrelevant. We pull the strings, we decide, and I have a smirk. I play with the crowd like a cat. Sometimes I'll do something on purpose to piss them off, and then that's one of the things that the American dream always. If a crowd's not cheering for you, it's your fault. If the crowd's booing, it's not booing you, it's on you. You're the puppet master. You make them do what they do. And it's been a pretty big baby face pop. But I also don't mind someone buying a ticket to see me get my ass kicked, or hopefully. The problem is when you can pretty much throw any human being on the planet over your shoulders whenever you feel like it. Chris will attest to that. You kind of do what you want. I get cheered on Fox, and my stand-up comedy shows are sold out and cheering and all that. And I get big cheers right now in the NWA just because I think of
you know, you were hanging out with idle management was the problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they're not the most trustworthy guys. I mean, I think, you know, you and me hanging out together now kind of sheds a different light, at least on the NWA front.
Never get cheered in a million years. He is he's one of those guys who just, but he's one of those legends that he's just a legendary heel, and you're not ever going to get him to be any other way. But you know, in some of the career, but you know, Jeezy, who I think is one of the most talented managers in the business. Unfortunately, you know, he's dealing with some tough health issues right now, and we wish him a speedy recovery. But you know, him deciding to bring on EC3, and it's kind of and I started going out my own. I think when me and Matt Cardona. When I defended the title against Matt Cardona, it was kind of we were both kind of healing there, but I made the stipulation that there would be no one at ringside. It would just be me and him one-on-one. I honored that. He did not, but I still was able to pull it out. I think that kind of made the switch with the crowd. And again,
sounds like a baby face to me.
Yeah, and then you start having crossover where you start having people who watch the #1 late night comedy show, Gutfeld. They're not coming to events. They're not coming to venues. And these are a lot of fans who've never seen wrestling before or haven't watched the NWA since there was the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, Arn and Ole Anderson, you know, Lex Luger, Barry Windham. That's the last time Sting, that's the last time they watched. And now they're coming back. And so we're starting to see, we're selling out all our venues and starting to push to get bigger venues. And so, you know, and Chris and I, we, in Chicago, when supposedly, quote, if you want to be that way, a liberal town or whatever you want to call it, there was an empty seat in the house. There was a lot of, we had celebrities showing up to see the event. So it's one of those things where I'm always going to be me, and whether I'm making fun of you or I'm putting you, you know, or I'm getting you to cheer for me, my personality is going to come out. It's just who I am. And love me or hate me, I have a great self-esteem, so I give zero F's about somebody's personal opinion. I don't bring politics to NWA. I bring wrestling. You know, I don't get on my microphone and tell everybody how to vote or whether I think this politician that. I'm there for as long as Billy will have me. Wrestle to the best of my ability and do what I want to do. And again, the babyface things kind of happened. You know, we're starting to get cheers and stuff. But let's be honest, Chris and I are no strangers to turning it up, and we're going to do whatever the hell we got to do. And if they hook our tights, we'll fish hook them. They bring a kendo stick.
Oh yeah,
like,
we're not opposed to sticking a thumb in the eye or anything like that. But I want to say this, dude. And not to go back to the basketball thing, but both of our teams are about to go out in the conference finals. But you and I, my friend, have a chance to pick up the Crockett Cup. So I think this is kind of a little piece of redemption for both of us. And thank God I don't have to go into this Crockett Cup with the Boston Celtics in the NBA Finals and the Lakers out.
LeBron, because if we get in the finals, we'll be blown up. And I can't have that. But here's the thing.
Could you imagine how we'd be at odds with each other?
Chris and I have an understanding. I'll be the first one to say Chris was within an eyelash of being the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. And I guarantee you he wants a rematch, I want a rematch, but we have agreed that we will take care of business. And when it's over, then we'll have that conversation. And that was something that we shook hands on because just like with Trevor Murdoch, I had to know Matt Cardona had an open heat. When I won the championship, he said it was unfair. He wasn't pinned. I gave him, and that's another reason why I think we're starting to get the fans are coming. If a guy says he was done wrong, and I'm like, let's make it right. And then Matt and I, we settled it, and we moved on. So, you know, the same thing with Adonis. When this is over, we go 110%, and we do everything in the best of our ability. I just don't see a team. You know, there's a couple teams with size, experience. I think Trevor and Mike Knox are particularly dangerous just because Knox probably has the most to prove out of anybody in this cup. He's probably been the most overlooked super athlete in this business. Knox does stuff that guys half his size can't even do. And Trevor is as ground and pound as you get. Those guys are a unique team. And then you got blunt force trauma, which is just beating everybody up.
Titus and Latimer is a good team. So there's a lot of competition.
And then you got to worry about La Resistance been tag champs for a minute. You know,
when it comes to you and me, we're just we want to own this piece of history. That's all we're focused on. The Crockett Cup.
We'll argue about history. The cup. You know, that might be what the stipulation is on the championship. But I don't like putting chickens before the eggs. But you know, maybe the stipulation.
If we win the cup, it's coming back to Los Angeles.
See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? And I have right next to all my championships and awards.
Got enough. Got enough. You got enough. It won't even fit in there.
You know what? I'll ask your mom because your mom loves me. So we'll let your mom decide.
How dare you? How dare you?
Tell the people, who's your mom's favorite personality on TV? Who is it? Say it. Say it.
Hey, but like this is like everybody. Okay, yes, my mom always makes me say hello to Tyrus. She's always like, "Tell Tyrus I said hello." I'm like, "Okay, mom, jeez."
All right, you guys can fight over where the cup goes after.
We got to do the work first. All this is moot. We're looking like the Boston Celtics right now.
Job's not finished.
I like the mindset. I like, best of luck. When you win the cup, you can fight over it then. Thank you for the conversation today. I enjoyed getting a chance to catch up with both of you. Good luck in the cup, and have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Yep. All right, man. And hey, Chris, tell mom I said hello. Give her my love.